For more than a decade, FTI has strived to become the leader in the aftermarket performance transmission and converter industry. We've joined forces with McLeod Driveline Components under the leadership of Top Fuel Funny Car pilot Paul Lee, and now have a larger distribution network, more resources, and more power. Come see us in the pits and ask how you can join the FTI family. It's not cheating, it is the competitive edge.
The number one source of friction in your engine is not what you think. Piston rings rubbing against the cylinder walls generate more friction than any other part of the engine. More friction and temperature means more wear and less horsepower. Fortunately, the team at Total Seal knows how to reduce friction and wear through innovative piston ring design. If it takes a piston, Total Seal can build a better ring.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey everybody, WFO Radio is back. What's going on? Hopefully you are well. Getting ready for the holidays. Got all your gift getting and purchasing finished. Have you? Hopefully you have. If you haven't, we'll talk about it a little bit here on the show. We'll kick it around a little bit, like great gifts to buy the drag racing fan in your life. I think that's kind of a cool hot topic. Is it? I don't know. We are stumbling down the stretch here in 2023, baby. It's almost over. We're getting to the finish line, coming up on that stripe, and it is going to be great. We got the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhardt, coming at you moments from now. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the big moments. Going to promote the big show tomorrow. YouTube only. I'm saying it. YouTube. Take that, Facebook. YouTube. We're doing it. YouTube only tomorrow. It will become available at 1 o'clock. It's going to be one of the best shows of the entire year. You're absolutely going to love it. WFO Radio TV on YouTube. And you're going to get to know Buddy Hall, Jacob McNeil, and Chris King. We had them all on. First Buddy, then we added Jacob, and then we added Chris. And you're saying to yourself, if you can do quick math, hey, man, does that mean it's not going to be live? And that's what it means. It's not going to be live, but it's a great show nonetheless. We have a very in-depth conversation about many facets of the sport and what these young guys who are getting deeper and deeper into the sport are going to do in 2024. They ask each other questions. We talk about some nonsense, some sense. It is going to be great. But if you claim, let's find out who really wants the story about the up-and-comers and the underdogs and the people. There's always people that are saying you don't do enough to cover the little guy. Not that Buddy Hall is the little guy by any means. Chris King either. And Jacob McNeil. These guys are jacked. We have a great conversation. It's going to happen 1 o'clock Wednesday, tomorrow, YouTube only, WFO Radio TV. And we encourage you to subscribe and share and push it out there. And, we're going to go back and check it all out. It's going to be amazing. And that is our big note. And that's been a great show. The people who make it possible for us to go WFO. I saw Reinhart pop on there, and I was like ready to go to Reinhart. And then he's like gone. It's just mysterious. We had a great ignition show last night. No direction. The Patreons were all over the place. We did cover a lot of interesting hot topics, and it's been amazing to see how many new Patreons are signing up for the year. It means I have to send out a t-shirt. Patreon.com/WFO Radio. And our great sponsors like Bernie Speed Shop, 100,000 square feet up there in Ocala, Florida. I'm heading that way on Thursday. Not all the way up to Ocala, but close, going to land to FTI Performance. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But Bernie's Speed Shop, 100,000 square feet. They do frame-off restorations. They do movie props. They sell e-bikes. They can buy a classic muscle car from them or an exotic. You can sell yours through consignment. Josh Hart has just created, it's like the soul of the muscle car flows through Bernie's. Go to Bernie's, BURNYZZ.com. Check out their social media to learn completely what I'm talking about. Folks at Phillips Connect, Phillips-Connect.com at the PRI show. One of our listeners listens every week. It's like, I work at a tire store. We would like to sell Phillips Connect. Next thing you know, put them together just like that. Smart trailer technology, connected to keep you safer, to keep you on time, to keep your driver safer, to keep your loads on time, to keep you aware of what's going on. Phillips-Connect.com. Justin Ashley immediately reached out to the gentleman. If you would like a personalized introduction, all you got to do is email me, Joe at WFOradio.com. Phillips-Connect.com in 2024. I mentioned the folks at FTI. I'm excited to head up there. Project Pontiac is advancing, and doesn't matter how much horsepower we build. If we don't have something to go between the drive shaft and the engine block, we got nothing. And that's why FTI performance is such a big deal. Power glides for .90 cars like I'm building with Project Pontiac, big money bracket cars, top sportsman, top dragster. The wrap on FTI is this. Not only are they consistent, but they can handle big horsepower and be consistent and reliable. What more could you ask for? A Paul Lee company. They got FTI parts coming out as well. In fact, it is up. New website coming out January 1st, FTIperformance.com. Can't wait to see the shop. It is going to be great. The folks at Foggit, Foggit, Foggit.com, Amazon choice product. Next time you're on Amazon, just type in Foggit and learn a little bit more about it. Gary Stinnett pulled out a set of rings the other day, sent me a photograph, rusted a lot. Every word I was going to say was like profane. Rusted a lot. This is from an engine, not sprayed with Foggit. It's that simple. Foggit. Protect your high-performance racing engine that cost you a lot of money, or use it on some of the other products that you have around the house. I'm finding constant uses for Foggit. It has been amazing to watch it all come together. And then, of course, Total Seal piston rings, the leader in ring seal technology. That's what you're protecting with your Foggit. They're all connected. TotalSeal.com, the Hidden Horsepower Podcast. New episodes from PRI coming soon. Later on in the show, I'll tell you about Sam Tech. I'll tell you about Frank Hawley. And I'll tell you about our great friends, Marvin Rodak. People are getting the holiday packs, and they're loving them. 817-924-6821. It's an extra sensory experience when the Rodak Holiday Pack comes out. But let's go out to Tucson, Arizona, and connect with the voice of the National Hot Rod Association, Alan Reinhardt. He's got his hat. What's up, AR? How are you? Oh, we don't hear you. Why don't we hear Reinhardt?
I'm well. Just all getting ready. What do you mean, why don't we hear Reinhardt?
No, I hear you now. I was not hearing you. Now I do.
You don't got? Okay.
You got a hat? Now I got a hat. Look, it's a holiday party.
I think I'm all ready for the fat guy in the red suit to show up. I got yeah, but yours doesn't say bah humbug.
No. Mine is more joyful than yours is. I like it though. I like it. You word. Yeah, Alan, this is going to have to be the holiday
yours actually
party.
Looks like the kittens have been playing. Yours look like the kittens have been playing with the yarn ball on the end of it. There, got it stretched out.
If they see me with this, I will be attacked. That's what they like, They like playing with the yarn ball. Yeah, Christmas coming quick, and I'm going to say something that people may or may not like, but when faced with the choice of the yearly WFO on-air holiday party, or in a meaningful way, advancing the ball on Project Pontiac, meaning a 9-hour round trip to DeLand, it's looking like the Project Pontiac is going to win out. So you and I have to be extra festive and make this like holiday party-ish. Got it? Yeah. Sometimes tough decisions have to be
made.
I
guess, but you can't do a holiday party in the middle of a trip to DeLand.
I know, right? Like right from the road, going down the road like Snowman and Fred, have the stream going. It would be great. All right, everybody's out there. Lonnie is out there. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Everybody is in the spirit, of course. Jay and Roscoe. A lot of positive messages. Ant Dog is got a birthday coming up. Going to be 53 years old. Chris. Any word on what's going on with Krista? Like, that's so vague. Like, okay, Baldwin, and what do you mean in her life, in her racing career? I haven't seen anything on social media. Of course, when you say something like that, I immediately think like all kinds of things. Krista is advancing the ball racing wise, and there will be announcements in the future. We can't step on them. Tell them why, stepping on people's announcements is a bad deal, Reinhart.
Well, because then nobody lets you in on any secrets anymore. There's one of the most important parts of the job is to be able to talk to people, to be able to get information, to be able to get not necessarily to share, but it's just easier if to I don't know, point people in the right direction or not say something wrong or not let a cat out of the bag, so to speak. And if you betray the trust, then it'll be a long time before somebody trusts you again. So there's definitely, there was a lot of good news that came out of PRI a couple of weeks ago. There's a lot more good news that is coming, and just everybody sit tight and wait on it. And Krista's going to be part of some of that good news from what I understand.
Oh my gosh, look at the people that are out there. It's Chef Nikki Morse is out there. One of the great personalities from the past
Nikki,
that I miss dearly. How great. The racing chef, for those that don't know, one of the, I'm put him in like top 10 greatest characters in drag racing history, as far as I'm concerned. Who else can break out an amazing magic trick, cook you a wonderful meal, and knows a whole lot about pro stock?
I was going to say, were you just saying that because he fed you?
Yeah, he did. He got me hooked on Jenny's ice cream. Jenny Jenis, Jenny's ice cream, $8 a pint. Oh my gosh, it's the best stuff. The salted caramel. Yeah, Nikki Morse, guy's a mensch. That's all I can say. Good deal. Good to see you out there. Look who else is out there. Everybody's tuning in because of the hat, Reinhart. You should wear this hat every week. Larry Spider-Man McBride is out there. Yeah, it's a long windup for whatever your comment is about to be.
No, I'm Spider-Man and I had our little friendly feud for a while, and we've put that to bed.
You patched it up.
No, all good. Look forward to, I think we're going to see him. I think we're going to see him at least a couple of times this year on our tour. So looking forward to that again.
Is that announced? Is that like public? Like I can't keep track of all the things that are public. That one has got me particularly excited. Seems like a lot of holidays. Yeah, a lot of holiday cheer, man. Everybody is loving it. WFO and cheeseburgers. Craig Gaultier out there. Can we have both of you jokers work the sports nationals at Belrose, please? That's nice. Thank you for that, Nikki. Now, Alan, I'm feeling like your audio is a little sporadic.
Actually, I'm a maybe for that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but you keep coming and going. Go back out. I'm going to kick you out. I want you to come back in. We're going to try it again. We're going to just reset. There it is. Watch this, guys. We're going to kick him out. Now we can talk about him. Here's the deal. Nikki Morse, 2 pounds of lasagna sounds good. Yeah, listen, I don't expect everybody knows Nikki. He was the racing chef. He even had a show. But just a real positive individual. Worked with the Jegs team for many years. Maybe we need to get you back, Chef Nikki. 51 days until Bradenton. That's excited. Bradenton's going to be busy a lot. Let me rephrase that. Wrong answer. Tony fires Leah. Well, I was close. I don't think so. Let's see. Thank you. You guys are great as well, listen, but I can't do magic tricks like Nikki. Let's see. Went and saw Christmas lights at Bristol last week. I guess they only repaint the walls once a year. Still a big red stuff on the right side of the wall, courtesy of Paul Dagrapon. Why do we got to bring up negative stuff? Although Paul made the front page of NHRA.com, that was one of the down moments of the year. But I have been to the Christmas light show, and in Bristol in particular, and I think it was great. Kathy Fisher and I drove through there when I used to do performance TV with those guys right around the holiday time, and it was awesome. And I highly recommend it to our friends in the Bristol area. Let's see. JJ Husker fan, Merry Christmas, Joe Allen and the entire WFO universe. Walt saying, what's up? Merry Christmas all. Some folks, like the gentleman who said the racers think that he sounds like me when he announces. Your name did not come through. I would like to know who that is. And hey, I'm sorry. McSteel, the real deal. What's up, McSteel? Making that injected nitro funny car run fast this year. That was definitely one of the big stories. Ant Dog, is Tommy DeVito your cousin? Yes, Ant Dog. We're all cousins. All the Italians out there. We're all cousins because he's Italian. He's Italian. There's these guys on Twitter that I follow. They love Tommy DeVito, Tommy Cutlets. What red-blooded Italian-American male doesn't love Tommy DeVito? Come on. And the Giants are, they fall in behind the Dolphins, but go Big Blue. The Tommy DeVito, this man is like single-handedly saving a team. Who's crew chief in Langdon's car? I haven't heard that Brian Hewson was going to take command of that machine, but we'll see. We'll see. Merry Christmas, guys. And I believe Brian Loans said that on NHRA Insider podcast. You know, Loans is a good 75, 80%. 75, 80%. Merry Christmas. We're blessed to live in the greatest era of drag racing. Amazing. When you guys come on, I'm buying my New England Nationals tickets. It says, Tom, way to go. Now here's Reinhart is back. Let's test.
I hope this is better. It seems like the Wi-Fi around here
Oh, much better.
is a little bit slow
So
today,
good.
so I don't know.
It's the net. Everybody's doing their last minute shopping. They're tugging down the internet. That's what it is. All right. So questions afoot. Where did John Collins go after leaving Cruise? Asks Clint. You can answer that one. Or maybe you can.
John Force.
John Force. That's right.
Is
He's
John
gonna be over there with
Force's.
Grubby. I think
Yeah,
that's an exciting.
Let me scrap the
pickup.
computer. Joe, I'm going to scrap the computer and try a phone.
That's a good move. Do it. Reinhardt scrapping the computer, guys. Yeah, he's going over there, from what I understand, to work with David Grubnick, and was walking around PRI with a Monster Energy shirt. Look, this sport, we always want and try to be positive. And it's not like the NFL where, you know, Stephen A. Smith is getting paid like $30 million to say LeBron James embarrassed his family when he had a bad game. That's not what we do. And, you know, maybe it's moving in that direction, but we're not there yet. The year that Brittany Force had was a disappointment. I know that Grubnick is looking for the next great thing, and maybe he'll get it this year. But, you know, they didn't win a race. That's my simple math. You know, I don't know how to tune a Nitro car, but I did come up with a formula that says this: if you win one race, you can't call it a bad year, which implies that if you don't win a race, then it's a bad year. It all depends. Are you a rookie? Do you go to a final? Whatever. But if you're the reigning champ and you don't win a race, that's going to be tough. They've added some personnel, and I really think that John Collins, like, he doesn't talk a lot, but he's a very sharp and smart guy. And I think he's going to be an addition to that team. Let's bring Reinhart back.
I'm on my phone now. Is this better?
Yeah, but you didn't ditch the computer. You're using it as a tripod right now, which is probably the best task for
Yeah,
it.
I'm using it as a phone stand. Well, see, Wi-Fi in my shop is an air stick, and it usually works very well. Occasionally it doesn't. So I turned it off and tried to do the Wi-Fi on the phone, and that didn't look like it was working better. So this is strike three. I hope I don't strike out.
To me, you look great. The cameras on the phones are even better. I'm one of those people that it's a miracle that it works as often as it does. And I'm still amazed by the technology, not disappointed when it doesn't work, because come on, like the idea that we can do this at all is amazing. But yes, we just, I gave my take. JC going over there with the Force team. Please add yours.
I think it'll be good. I think that, you know, Brittany, as you mentioned, did not have a spectacular season. And, you know, I think part of that, John did some personnel shuffling at the end of last year and took Max Savage away from that dragster team and put him over on his funny car team. And I think that his presence was missed. I think that, you know, they certainly have got a lot of smart people over there at John Force Racing, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but, you know, sometimes people just click when they're together. And, you know, as John said at the end of the year, he really didn't have the backup person for David Grubnick. And so that was one of the things that they wanted to make sure that they shored up and took care of during the offseason. I think JC is, you know, as you mentioned, he's a really sharp guy. He's been around a long time. Assuming that, you know, he and David Grubnick can get along and get, you know, build some chemistry fairly quickly, then I think that they're going to be right back in the mix.
Definitely. That whole Max Savage deal, I was and am a fan of Max Savage. And
I am too.
When that broke up for whatever reasons that, you know, are I don't know. They just made decisions at the start of this year, and you make some decisions, and some are going to be good, some are going to be bad. Maybe they're good, and we just don't know. But then, Mac left the team. From what I understand, he's going to Coletta to be a part of that organization. They just won a world championship. And so my bottom line is, I think Mac Savage is a sharp guy. He's been in the sport for a long, long time. And, you just saw back-to-back years. The guy has proven that he's got some knowledge out there. So I think that's going to benefit a team that's already pretty strong over there at Coletta.
I think so too. And for people that go back in the sport, even just a few years, you probably realize that Mac Savage and David Grubnick both came from Coletta's. They worked with Coletta for a number of years. And then when they left together. And I didn't really speak to Mac other than I sent him a text message that said, hey, congratulations on the new gig. And I hope I can still come by and bug you when I have questions and want to learn stuff. But I just can't help but wonder if Michigan played a role in it. After spending enough time in Michigan, moving down to Indianapolis to be a part of that, if he wanted to go back to Michigan. But, he's got a good history at Coletta Motorsports. He certainly, knows where to find everything in the shop. He and Connie obviously don't have a bad relationship. So I think that, he is going to be a very strong presence as they try to shore up a dragster. When you've got one that finishes as the champion and the other one that doesn't finish in the top 10, then I think, you need to try something. You need to do something. They need to get Sean Langdon's car a little bit more consistent, a little better. And I think Max Savage would be a good add there.
Absolutely. Spider-Man McBride out there says 4 races with us next year, which is exciting. And, they're adding bikes and that's going to be a big announcement that I think, people are going to be excited. That the Top Fuel Harley thing we did a few years ago, I got everybody excited, but nothing like when Spider-Man is on the starting line for an exhibition run. Now we're going to have 4 actual races. They're putting together a class. It's going to be nuts. I'm super, Bob Malloy's trying to get some things together. Like, people are into this. I think it's a smart next evolution. If we want to entertain people, Spider-Man knows how to do it.
Well, the bikes are amazing. And, as much as I'm a fan of Pro Stock, whether it's 2-wheel or 4-wheel, and I love the Pro Stock machines, and I know a lot of the fans do as well, but the Nitro bikes are just nuts, whether it's the Nitro Harleys or whether it's the Top Fuel stuff like McBride does. When you're making that much power, and you've got that small a machine, and you basically, point it and shoot it. I don't know how much control you actually have. They're nuts. And, the fans really love seeing things like that. And it's a great ad. The performance numbers that Larry in particular, but some of the others have also gotten out of those motorcycles is just crazy. And I'm fortunate, I got to be around for a lot of the evolution when they were kind of sneaking up on it and knocking down some of the milestones and doing the other stuff. And to see how far they've taken it now is just amazing. And, the number of Nitro people that are household names that add their input and work with the Nitro guys on the Harleys and on the Top Fuel bikes. I think a lot of casual fans would be surprised, but it's burning Nitro. So if you can do it efficiently in a Top Fuel car, there's no reason you couldn't take that knowledge, scale it down a little bit, and help a guy that's on a motorcycle. And I think, Larry'd be the first one to tell you that he has gotten a lot of assistance from guys out there that are running in the Top Fuel ranks. And he's got a lot of guys that if he runs across something, he can go ask somebody, have you ever seen this problem and how do you overcome it? Because he's obviously not in a position where he can go out there and blow up 3 motors in a weekend trying to figure out how to make it work. So if he gets in a place where he needs assistance, there's a lot of people out there who, he can walk right into the office and say, hey, look, help me out here. Let's get back on the right track. So that's been part of the performance, but I think it's also been part of, what's made the bikes a little bit more consistent. The days of bringing the Top Fuel bikes to the starting line and it's like, okay, we got 6 of them, maybe 2 of them get to the finish line under power. Now, if you bring 6 of them to the starting line, there's a better than even money chance that 4 or 5 of them are going to get down under power. And that's what the fans want to see.
Absolutely. C5 Pete wants to know where those bikes are going to be. Will they be at the Grove? Maybe Spider-Man will put up in the chat section the schedule. I think Richmond is one of them. I think maybe the Grove is one of them. But we'll get that from the man himself. I see the boys from Life's a Drag. Maybe Jason Logan, maybe it's Jason Galvin, wishing everyone Merry Christmas. That was one of the big moments of the year, right? Like the launch of the Life's a Drag podcast, giving all the inside details of people's favorite restaurant choices.
Well, whether it's Jason Logan or Jason Galvin, does it really matter? I mean, they're kind of interchangeable, right?
Yeah. I don't know how I feel for both of those guys. I consider them both friends, and I feel bad for both of them because of that. And yet it is true. Right? Like, it's like, man, you used to have your own autonomous personalities, and now you've been merged into one thing. J Square. Well,
and like high school girls, they change clothes and they do, they gossip about people and do all that kind of stuff. They're inseparable and interchangeable.
You seem to know a lot about them. It is also okay. Justin says Force's car needs some consistency, has performance at times, but needs consistency. I think that's a statement. Let's evaluate John Force's 2023. Competition Plus has got a story. Poor John goes on ePart Trade with me. Makes this nice statement about how everyone needs backup. Everybody misinterprets that as he's created his exit strategy and he's retiring. And now he has been, like, every media outlet is in quasi damage control because they want everyone to understand John Force is not retiring this year.
Yeah, this year.
Yeah.
John Force is definitely going to retire. And you know what else?
So am I.
Yeah, so is everybody out there at some point.
Oh my!
Right now, no, John. John's been doing this obviously a long time, and he is certainly the elder statesman out there of the funny car category, and he can't do it forever. He knows that, but I think that he wants to put it together so he can do it on his own terms when he's ready, and that's not now. And when he is, we'll all find out about it. But every time John says something, it's the typical internet thing, right? Everybody just takes it. When he said, "I don't have a backup for David Grubnick," that was a mistake on my part, and everybody went, "David Grubnick's leaving?"
They did. Well, exactly. Be happy.
What?
Listen to you.
No, he said, "I need to get David Grubnick a number 2 man. I need to get him some more help. I need to get somebody over there to fill the role that Max Savage used to." That's what he said. And, and again, we're back to the whole puppies and kittens thing, right? I mean, how many times have we told that story?
Yeah, hundreds of times. Why do you hate kittens? Just because you like puppies. Doug is out there. He says, "Merry Christmas." All right. So Spider-Man says Chicago, Virginia, Brainerd. Oh, how perfect is Brainerd for that?
Brainerd.
And the September Charlotte race are going to be where we see Larry and those bikes.
Brainerd.
Yeah. I'm already excited about next year. Like I
can see him out there whacking the throttle in the zoo at 2 a.m. Can't you see that?
Forrest Lucas started the Camp Pallet bonfire 1 year with a jet car. How could you conceptually top that? Like, starting off with Spider-Man McBride's motorcycle is a good first step, right? Like, yeah. Like, I'm not saying we have to top that moment, especially since it's the Lucas Oil Nationals and Forrest is a bit of a god out there. But
a Top Fuel motorcycle isn't going to start the fire more enthusiastically, so to speak, but he could definitely get the job done and attract a lot of attention while doing it.
Yeah, well, exactly. And maybe we get Forrest involved a little bit, and then we can, we do it up as best as we can.
Do you go out there and yell "fire" when they light that thing off?
No. This year, though, we were out at run around, and everybody wore their fire shirts, which was great. Available in the WFO store, by the way. And it was amazing.
On sale for Christmas.
They were, but I think they're off sale now.
Oh, they're off sale? Never mind.
Yeah, but
full price for Christmas.
Calvin and Nikki and Josh and everybody that was involved, they all colluded and they wore the shirts together. So we did. There were a couple of people who yelled "fire" over the night. Look, Nicky Morris, he said he was leaving, but he's hooked on the show now. Best fireworks show he's seen in his life. Yeah, something to look forward to next year. Little Brainerd action. But let's look back. Okay, so we mentioned the Life's a Drag podcast as one of the big moments, and I'm not joking, but there were some other really big moments. You go by a whole season, and they stack up. But I could go right back to the Gator Nationals and that Top Fuel call out. Josh Hart winning $80,000 to start the season. We didn't know at the time that would be the highlight of his season, but a guy had a terrible year. He still walked away winning $80,000 in one shot.
Yeah, Josh has petitioned the NHRA to have 4 races at Gainesville this year. I haven't heard anything official on whether or not that's going to happen. But for whatever reason, that place has always been kind to him. If it's because he lives in Florida, maybe, or, because he spent so much time at that racetrack, maybe. But that place has always been very kind to him. And it was again last year. And yeah, as you mentioned, great way for his team to start the season. And then, they granted spent a little bit of time in the midseason chasing it. But he also, made some personnel changes and shored up. When I say changes, I'm made some personnel additions. Okay, don't start with where's Ron Douglas going? Now, Ron Douglas is still there, but he basically has shored up his crew and his brain trust, trying to get that thing back to being in championship condition and contention, said the professional announcer clearly, and in race winning contention every week. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that hasn't necessarily maybe been big news, but there are a lot of teams out there that, kind of assessed where they were falling short during the season that are making changes to try to make it happen better last year.
Exactly. Well, they're gonna bounce back next year. Your moment of the year, folks. Why don't you put it in the chat section, or maybe not the moment of the year, because there's really two that are in contention for that. But how about big moments from the season that deserve to be mentioned, but aren't the biggest moment of the year, which is either Doug Coletta winning the championship or Ron Capps winning Indy? I think we all agree it's one or the other. While you guys do that, because, like Reinhardt's got this amazing memory, but I don't, right? I'm sure there was something incredible that happened at the Vegas 4-wide that I'm just not thinking about. Meanwhile, John says he wants to know if there's going to be 2 rounds of pro qualifying on Fridays. It seemed like some did and some didn't last year. That's true. Do you know how that story is evolving? Which races and why? Is that on the schedule? I missed it if it was put up.
I don't believe that's officially been announced yet. When, we cut back qualifying sessions, I say we, like I had anything to do with it. When NHRA cut back qualifying sessions coming out of COVID, to save everybody, some travel expense and some race car expense and some other stuff, it was very well received at the time. And then they've been working their way back. Every year since then, we've had a few more races and a few more races that have seen 4. I have not seen, and I don't know if it's been officially announced yet, which races are going to have 4 and which races are going to have 3. I do know that there was a lot of discussion, certainly between the pro members, that all of the countdown races they felt needed to have 4, simply because that's when the pressure's on. That's when you need the extra run. That's when you want to have the opportunity to earn a couple of those extra little points. And so I think that was definitely a big part of the discussion. Early in the season, though, I haven't seen or heard anything as of yet for exactly which races are going to remain having 3, if any do. And it's possible that they all go back to 4. I just don't know that.
We'll just have to wait and see. Allow me to voice my opinion. 4 qualifying sessions for all the countdown races is really the way you got to do it. I feel like it's, for the competitive fairness side of things, as opposed to anything else, right? It's the biggest, most important time of the year. You should have 4 qualifying races. I'm sure they're out there writing down my opinion as we speak. Roscoe says, I definitely didn't see Joe in the zoo, which is not true. I am allowed to be in the zoo. I'm happy to be in the zoo. In fact, I asked people to put a little comment in the comment section to help jog my memory. And when he mentioned the zoo, it jogged my memory. That's where and when I found out about Scott Palmer's Studezilla crash. We were out there in the zoo and having a great time. And, all of a sudden it kind of went around, right? That Scott had an incident. We would then know later on that he'd be okay and he would come back and the whole thing. Studezilla was damaged, but just little moments like that. And while we're doing this, I just want to thank everybody. We got good numbers today. Keep sharing the show. Don't miss tomorrow. YouTube only. WFO Radio TV on YouTube. Get there. Hit the, the bell, and don't miss Buddy Hull talking about driving for Big Jim Dunn. Jacob Neal talking about driving Buddy Hull's old previous Top Fuel dragster, and Chris King, the firefighter. And I had them ask each other questions. It's a pre-recorded show while I pull the transmission out of Project Pontiac. We're going to be on the air. You don't want to miss that. So this guy says 300 in the 8th. Dragster Jeff, that was a huge moment, but it surprised everybody. And that was big. Alan Reinhardt was on top of that moment. That could have got past you. That could have Bucknered you. You got it, though.
That wasn't going to get past me. No, and the interesting thing, at least to me, about that is I had a pretty in-depth conversation with Mike Salinas Monday in Brainerd when a number of the teams were there testing. You know, for those who remember, Angel was making her first runs in the A-Fuel car there. You know, Mike was one of them that was out there making runs. He came up in the tower and we were kind of chit-chatting a little bit, and he told me absolute fact and gospel, write it down. I will be the one who goes 300 in the eighth, and I will be the one who goes 340 to the 1,000 foot for the first time. And he said, you know, we're working on some stuff. We've, you know, been close in testing a couple of times. We know what we've got to do. We just need to get the right conditions and then need to make it happen. But he was like, take it to the bank. It will be me that does it. And then he obviously followed it up. That was certainly a big moment of the year. I would not call that the biggest run of the year, but that was certainly a big moment.
It was.
What's your one top fuel run of the year, and take the championship out of it? What's the one run where you go, that made a difference?
Well, the championship run has blocked out the sun of all other runs on the year. I don't have that ready, Alan. The one that, why do you? You have that one ready? What is it?
I think the single most important top fuel run of the year was Doug Coletta, first round of Reading.
Blowing the tire, losing the.
No, that was final qualifying.
Oh yeah.
And so they brought out the backup car with no test runs on it at all, put it together overnight, came out round number 1 and ran low ET. And I honestly believe that's when the light bulb went on, and, you know, Coletta's championship run started there. I really think that was the most important. That's not going to be the one that gets the most fanfare, but I think that's the most important run of the year, because then going on to win that race, first time Doug had won a race in almost 2 years. And at that point, the team went, okay, we're going to win it. Not we can, not we might. We are going to win this championship. But when you bring a backup car out of the trailer, run low ET of the entire event, the first run on the car, that's pretty impressive stuff. And that turned the season around. So that's mine.
Absolutely. No, I love that. That is great stuff. Okay, so C5 Pete is getting into the spirit of it. And thank you, everyone, for sharing the show. Since 1 and 2 are locked up, Matt, Hartford, winning in Reading is number 3. That was a pretty spectacular and unusual racing moment, story, something that happened, something that people will remember. Seeing the Total Seal Pro Stocker go out on a flatbed, disappear, people not knowing where they were, the wave of hushed speak going through the pit area. They're not here. They left. They're gone. Where are they? We don't know where they are. Are they allowed to do that? All of that stuff. And then they come back and they win the race on Monday. Pretty great story.
It was, but that doesn't go down as a run of the year. I think if you had a pro stock performance of the year event, that would get a lot of votes, because he will tell you flat out. And, you know, he said it to you. He said it to me. He said it publicly. Saturday night, they did not have a car that could win the race. No way, no how, no chance. They needed to do some testing, and they knew they couldn't do it at the racetrack. So fortunately for him, he's got a sponsor close by that's got a room. He's got a sponsor close by that's got flatbed records. The best part I thought of the story was, you know, he said, yeah, we're just going to roll her down to the scales and, you know, like, hey, yeah, we're this. And they might not even notice we're gone. And then when they load the thing up, Aaron Stanfield comes rolling around the corner in his factory showdown car and goes, what are you guys doing? He's like, well, so much for that secret. Yeah, but I think pro stock performance for an event, I think absolutely that would get my vote.
I like it. No, I like it. Marty Robertson wants to know about Gage. What are pro stock bike teams doing to take Gage down next season? I believe there's a couple
buying him pizza.
Yeah, kidnapping plans. I don't know, but it's going to be tough. Spoke with Gage at PRI. I know you did as well. That's going to be a tough one. Right now, he knows. Like before, he spent a certain part of the season getting used to being Gage on the Vance and Hines bike. Now he knows, and I think he's going to get better.
I think it's going to be fun to watch, because where his advantage was is very well known. And so everybody out there now knows this is what we need to concentrate on to get to where they are. They have figured out something with that bike. And interesting that, they can't clone it. I think part of it is the way Gage rides the bike, because Eddie's bike doesn't do the same thing. And obviously if they could clone it, Eddie would be 102 at 60 feet pretty much every run, just like Gage is. But that's a place now that you've got to go to work. And I think with the other teams focusing on that, I think they're going to close the gap a little bit. I'm certainly not saying that, Gage is going to finish 5th next year, but I think when you show everybody, this is where I'm kicking your tail, and then you give them 4 months to go figure out if they can close that gap, that they are going to close the gap. There's a lot of really smart people out there that are focused on that. You look at the back half numbers, you look at the mile an hour numbers, there are plenty of bikes out there that are making horsepower that rivals the Vance and Hines guys. They're just not getting the bike to move like Gage gets his to move. So they need to figure that out.
That's exactly the point. We now know where they're at. We'll see what Matt Smith can do and all of these guys as they come on and try to advance the ball. Tim Kalungian starting his own team. Like, he didn't start his own team to get his butt whipped by Vance and Hines. They didn't spend all that money to buy out Jerry Savoy to go get whooped. That's not what their plan is. So it's going to be very interesting to see. Joe Lee out there says Aaron and Matt. So Hartford getting 2 votes here. This one with Aaron Stanfield, the burn down in Brainerd. I don't think Hartford wants that as one of the big moments of the year. But Aaron, I talked to him in the Hidden Horsepower Total Seal booth at PRI, and he said that they had made a plan for that. They had been watching and thinking, and they made a plan, and they executed a plan, and the plan worked out. I love when burn downs happen, or staging duels. We had a big one in Pro Mod at the Gator Nationals, right? Like, that was amazing. We had a couple this year. In fact, I think the racers kind of realized that you got to give the fans a little something.
Yeah, the bike guys did some of that as well. And it's going to be interesting to watch next year with Aaron, doing the mic drop in factory stock. I think that's pretty interesting, right? Win the championship and not come back. I'm assuming that his showdown car or his Factory X car will be ready to go when he gets back out on track then. But, if you want to talk about a guy that's like, I'm here, I have a helmet, what car do you want me to drive? And he's going to get the job done. I don't know that there's a whole lot better out there than he is right now.
Okay, so Steve is going in a different direction. He says the biggest run of the year was Jose Gonzalez's Outlaw Pro Mod 535, hands down. And I always think that when people put something on the end of it, like hands down, that takes a little bit away from the point, because you're trying to push me over the edge. I think that's incredible and amazing, and frankly, I'm stunned by it. But I don't know any of the details. Like, clearly, outlaw means it's illegal. And so I don't even know, what was going on. But yeah, Pro Mod going 535 is pretty crazy. I don't know if I would call it the run of the year, hands down.
Now, outlaw does not mean illegal. It means not NHRA legal.
Right.
There are certainly a lot of other sanctioning bodies, and there are some of the pro mods where they just go, guys, no rules, right? Run what you're brung and hope you brung enough. Most of them, to my knowledge, don't run to the quarter mile. So that's why you occasionally see some really outrageous 8th mile speeds, because the guys can run big turbos. If you can make your car light, you can make your car light. All of this stuff. Whether you want to use a lockup converter with a turbo car, you can't do that in NHRA, but in other sanctions you can. I think that's a very, very impressive run, but I don't think I wouldn't call it the run of the year. And I also think if you threw away the rules, if you just took the rev limiter off, what would top fuel cars run out the back? And so, I think everything has to kind of go in perspective. And was it an incredible run? Absolutely. And absolutely. I'm not taking anything away. But if you take away the restrictions that everybody else has, I guarantee you Jose's not out there telling all the NHRA guys, look, my car's like 0.4 of a second faster than yours, because he knows, if they built a car like that, they could up their performance as well. But it's all in where your focus is. If your focus is going to be, I have to get this done at this weight, under these rules, with this size turbo, with this driveline, and that's where you concentrate all your stuff. Somebody that's working in other areas certainly can outperform you. There's no doubt about it.
That's a very balanced and wise answer right there. Like, people want to talk about this or that, but that's the whole deal about outlaw stuff. That's great. But if you're just on your own, doing your own thing, there's no way to gauge it. Let's get 4 guys running the same thing and we'll find out how good it is. But really what it says to me is there's a race to be the first 4-second quarter-mile door slammer, Alan.
You know, in my mind, that's a scary proposition. You know, as skittish as we've seen those cars from time to time out there right now, if you didn't have absolute perfect everything, I don't know that I would want to be the guy inside one of those when it goes, 5.0 or 499 or 295 or 300 miles an hour with the aerodynamic stuff that they have on those. I just don't know that. I don't know that I'd want to be the guy driving it. I wouldn't mind being the guy watching it, but I don't think I'd want to be the guy driving it.
Oh, I love.
Let me know when you're gonna go for that, and I will buy a ticket.
Yeah, exactly. Nikki wants to know about Jeggy coming back. What do we think about that? Is that getting the appropriate hype and fanfare? I know it's the holidays, and we're going to crank up the bandwagon next year for that. But this guy is one of our greatest champions, one of our greatest personalities. We've got a show in our archive, by the way. When Jeg came back, he came on WFO immediately. But it's going to mix it up a little bit, and I'm expecting Jeg to get into the winner's circle pretty quick. He almost did this year.
I want to know how Erica feels about it. Because is that now car number 6? That, hey, look, Erica, we got you a new car. Oh, never mind. We're going to give this one to Jeg.
Oh, man.
Hey, look, Erica. Oh, never mind. We're going to give this one to Bo. Hey, look, Erica. Oh, never mind. We're going to get, I mean, is that car number 6 that was supposedly built for her that she doesn't get? I mean, she's struggling so mightily with the car that she has now, right? I mean, all she did was win the championship. But I just think that if you're Erica, at some point you're going, guys, come on.
All right. Russ Kramer says there was an incident where I regrettably knocked over the booba meter. It was quickly repaired. I don't remember this incident, Russ. Like what? He obviously had some sort of problem. I just don't know what it was. So much happens. Yeah, neither does Reinhart. He'll put it up there. Let's see. EE's rebound from a terrible front half of the season. I don't know. I wasn't surprised. I was expectant, and they delivered pretty much what I expected. It was like, all right. What was more surprising was that they even had a bad front half of the season, to me.
Yeah, that team doesn't usually struggle more than a couple of races, if they even do that during the course of the year. So seeing them get off that slow start, I guarantee you, however she's felt about it in the past, she's pretty grateful for the countdown format coming in this year, because that is what put her back into contention. And then obviously the team took it from there.
Lauren with a nice answer. Tony Stewart's first top alcohol dragster win out there was 4 wide. It was Vegas. And to put it in context of what we now know, yeah, that was pretty huge. And, last week's show got a lot of listens and a lot of views, Alan, us discussing the whole Tony Stewart biggest news deal. I got more than my normal share of feedback from people. Everybody, when I do a show, and I think anybody who does a talk show, when you're done, maybe thinks, did I say everything exactly the way I wanted to say it, right? Did it come out right? Did people understand what I was getting at? Because I was yelling at some people, being a little forceful with my opinions. I got a lot of positive feedback on the way people were just really working hard to be negative on the Tony Stewart announcement. But now knowing the two ends of the story, he got that first race win, went on to finish second in the points, now moving up to Top Fuel with all this fanfare. I think that is huge, because we don't get to where we are without Smoke having that moment.
Well, that moment was going to happen sooner or later, right? I mean, he was in a really good car. He came very close the year before, losing out to Madison by the 0.2 of a second. So the moment was definitely going to happen. The fact that it happened there in the 4 wide, I thought that was pretty cool. But to be honest with you, I thought the more exciting 4 wide final was the one in Charlotte, where the margin of victory was, I believe, 0.12 of a second.
Unreal.
Between all 4 cars. Remember that? Mike Coughlin ended up winning that one.
You remember everything. I don't remember anything. I got to keep notes.
I don't remember everything. Things just pop up from time to time. But Mike Coughlin winning that one, and if I'm not mistaken, it was about 0.12 of a second margin of victory from first to fourth. And that, in my mind, was a more exciting 4 wide final round. Sorry, Smoke. I mean, I'm happy that you won yours and everything, but there were certainly plenty of highlights out there in the alcohol categories, both funny car and dragster all year long.
All right. So someone earlier had mentioned, it was Scott, but the comment is already off my screen. But he mentioned, he goes, it's not a moment, but his take on attendance was that this year we had stronger attendance. We had all those sellouts, but that the crowds were energized and active. And I just wanted to mention that because of, as people are bringing back these moments, and the next one that I'm about to put up was very emotional for me. And I think that they're all connected. Like, I really believe there's a positive force going on in our drag racing community. The racers, the NHRA people, media, people outside, Pro got their deal going. Like, people are doing stuff right now. And I think people are feeling it. And it's making them want to go to be a part of it. Not just once, go back again and see it again. Like Evan, our fearless leader, says, you don't want it to be like the Grand Canyon, where everybody goes one time, except for Joe and Alan, who have never been at all, to see it once. And then you say, oh, that's great. The Grand Canyon, I've seen it now. I never need to see it again. You need to come back because it's going to be fun and exciting. I feel like we're getting to that point with our live attendance.
I think so. And, we've kind of preached here for years. If you've never seen it live, or if it's been 20 years since you've seen it live, come out and give us another chance. And it's not going to be for everybody. There's no question in my mind. 100% of the people that come aren't going to go, wow, that's awesome. I want to go again and again and again. There are going to be people that come out and, it's too loud, or it's too smoky, or I don't want to sit in the sun, and I get it. It's not going to be for everybody. But if you are any kind of a car enthusiast or adrenaline enthusiast, I think that you need to come see it once. And if you decide after that, it's not for me, okay, I get it. It's not going to be for everybody. But the vast majority of people that come out the first time, I still remember, and this goes back a number of years ago, the lady that I was dating at the time raced sprint cars. And she was very big into sprint cars and believed in sprint cars. And her deal was always like, drag racing? Yeah. You're driving in a straight line and, it doesn't last very long. And it's just not my thing. And I took her to Pomona. And when I was headed down to the top end of the racetrack for first round of Top Fuel, she sitting in the golf cart with me, and we stopped at the finish line. And the first pair of cars that goes by, and one of them went 319 miles an hour, and one of them went 323 miles an hour, and this is 1320 days. And she turned around, she looked at me, and she said, "Oh my God, that's drag racing?" Yeah. I had no idea. And since then, she certainly went to a lot more races and started following a little bit closer. She wasn't going to give up her passion for sprint cars. But at that moment, she understood, holy crap, I never knew what professional drag racing really was because I hadn't experienced it. And once she experienced it, then she became, certainly, like I said, she wasn't going to give up her passion for sprint cars, but she certainly became a much bigger fan. And as is true with pretty much every relationship in my life, 3 weeks later, I never saw her again. So.
But maybe I'm not going there. Never mind.
Nah, go for it. What the heck?
Well, I'm just saying, you earned us a fan and then you lost us a fan.
No, we still had the fan. Okay. We still had a fan. She just didn't have, I just wasn't getting her tickets anymore.
As you shouldn't. Like, you get one freebie ticket from the announcers, guys. That's it. It's not like an every year and an always kind of thing, because, somebody's got to buy the tickets, guys. Somebody's got to buy the tickets, right? Did you give away any tickets this year? I gave away most of my tickets. I get we get X at the start of the year, and I try to seed the ground out there as best as is possible with interested people who may like it, but not shell out the money the first time. Try to do that.
I gave away a couple. Yeah. There's,
and this doesn't mean
times when
here, guys, you're WFO, the sport is cool already.
Yeah. Well, I'm the same way, sometimes you talk to somebody and go, give us a chance. And they look at it and go, geez, I don't know. That's a lot of money. If I get out there and do it and don't like it, it's like, all right. I'll give you a taste. And then if you come out and if you don't like it, again, it's not going to be for everybody, but getting people to the racetrack. I used to really appreciate when the tracks would do a Friday night deal. And I'm not sure why they got away from that. I think it turned into Friday night really wasn't turned into a big thing, but there were tracks at one point that if you came in, whatever it was, 4 o'clock or something, or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, just for the Friday night session, they had a discount ticket for that. And that would be a great opportunity for somebody who's never been there to just come out and take a look. And if we were running late enough into the evening, right, you get the header flames, you get the full sensory stuff, you get to see the pro cars, and you don't have to pay the full tilt, and you didn't have to spend the whole day out there to see it. And if you decided then that, wow, this is cool, well, hey, you can still buy a ticket for tomorrow, or you can still buy a ticket for Sunday, except Bandamere, of course. But I think that, that's one of the things that I wish we could find a way to bring back. I don't know how to do it, but I wish we could find a way to do it.
Well, there's multiple things like what we did for veterans on Veterans Day in Pomona. Like, wow, that was a moment. Like moments announcing Ed Iskandarian. I'll never forget that. Another one of the moments that I'll never forget, though, and it happened earlier this year. Of course, we were all stunned and shocked and upset and emotional about what happened to Angie out there at Worldwide Technology Raceway. But then that's the start of the story. To see her get back on the bike, and that rumor that she's going to get back on the bike. What do you mean she's going to get back on the bike? I thought, like, what are you talking about? She's got riding or what? She's got boots on her feet.
Yeah.
Like, how is this possible? And she's going to do it. And she did it. And she got the points and finished in the top 10. Like, that was genuine emotion. You can be a hard ass and not care about any of these people until a moment like that. And the feeling of getting back on the bike after that being the incident, like, how do you not love Angie Smith forever after that? Sorry, Matt, but it's sisterly.
Well, let me tell you, that was full tilt courage on her part too. I remember, she was up in the tower in the one qualifying session sitting up with me, and she said, I'm going to be back on the bike probably sooner than most people think. And I said, before Gainesville? And she said, sooner. Are you like Pomona? Sooner. She said, you'll find out soon enough. But she said, I'm going to be back on the bike sooner than most people think. Well, sooner than most people think ended up being Q4. And I'm like, what? And it was actually kind of interesting because Kelly Wade had written a story that was going to go out NHRA.com as soon as officially released. And, I spoke to Kelly and I said, make sure when I know when that goes up, because I want to be able to direct everybody to go read all the details of your story. And I didn't want to spill it before she did. And, Kelly Wade's like, look, I don't care, right? I'm not in this for recognition. I'm in this because I love writing and I love the sport and I love what I do. But it's like, you need to be, I need to be able to say this was first reported on NHRA.com, not, hey, everybody, breaking news. Don't worry, you'll see it in your inbox in a few minutes here, because it's not my story to break. And so, but I thought that was really interesting. And then the fact that she came back in Pomona and actually competed, not just, go up in Vegas. It was, very clear, she wasn't trying to fool anybody. I'm going to go up there. I'm going to take the tree. I'm going to get my show up points, because battling to stay in the top 10 is a big deal. And she wanted to get at least her show up points for being there. And in order to do that, you have to make a qualifying attempt. So she did that. And then, give her 2 more weeks of healing and therapy. And she decided, it's time to let the clutch out on this thing. So, boy, let me tell you, if their definition for courage, that's, put a picture of Angie there.
Yeah, absolutely. Lauren mentions Erica becoming the winningest female ever, not just in drag racing. I'm in motorsports history. There's nobody else. We know the names, the Janet Guthries of the world, the Lynn St. James. No one has done more winning than Erica, especially in a co-ed sport, which is what drag racing is now. Like I beyond racing in general, you'd have to tell me a sport where women and men play together, compete against each other, where a woman has dominated the way Erica has. It's like she is underappreciated for her accomplishment in that arena. And it's because we as drag racers are kind of like over it, right? Like we work so hard to say it's not a big deal this is our community. You just are a racer. You're not a black racer or a white racer. You're not a woman racer or a man racer. You're just a racer. We've worked so hard, but man, Erica has done something special.
She has. And in the era that she did it is very impressive as well. As closely matched as all the cars are. I still, it's very difficult for me to do the comparisons of modern day versus, early day. You look at, how many race wins a Tony Schumacher has, how many Larry Dixon has, how many Doug Coletta has, versus Don Garlits. But you got to remember, when Don Garlits was doing it, there was 5 races a year. There was 8 races a year. There was 9 races a year. He didn't have 22 chances a year to go out and do this. Had he had that many chances a year, he certainly would have a whole lot more than whatever he's got, 35 wins, I think. Had Shirley Muldowney in her heyday with the dominant car that she had and all of the winning that she did on a percentage basis, if she had competed in a time when there were 20 races a year, she certainly would have a lot more race wins than she has on her resume. Bob Glidden, imagine Bob Glidden's dominance if he had started in the year 2000. He'd have 250 wins. Because he was all but unbeatable. So it's very difficult for me to compare eras like that. But yeah, the road was paved for females to come in and be competitive in NHRA so many years ago, and it's almost bad for us because it's such a non-story, right? When Danica was driving the stock cars, every time she did something, it was news. You look at Haley Deegan now making a move up, and Haley, I think, has got a lot of talent. I think she's got a lot of ability. I think she's going to do very well. And every time she does something, it's big news. And you say, hey, Erica won a championship. And everybody goes, yeah, but she's done that before, right? So it's not news. And I really wish that our diversity was trumpeted a little bit more. But it's just everybody's so used to it, it doesn't make any difference.
Yeah.
And, I love, Dave Moody of Sirius XM NASCAR Radio is a good friend of mine. I know that you know him from back in the Sirius XM days as well. I was listening to him, whatever it's been now, it's been a couple of months ago, but somebody called in and they were kind of, I believe it was Haley Deegan they were talking about. And the guy said, I'm so sick of hearing about this. When are we going to stop hearing about, every time some girl does something? And he said, when we get to where NHRA is, to where it's not news anymore. Because there are so many females doing so many good things over there. It's not news, right? Brittany wins a world championship. Okay. It's not news because there have been so much success by so many females over the years. And it's almost a shame, I think, that, we're a little bit numb to that. I think that, the NHRA media department, a lot of people do a lot trying to trump it. But when you go to mainstream media and say, look, we've got Antron, we've got JR, we've got Brittany, we've got Leah, we've got Erica, we've got Camry, we've got, and they go, yeah, but you guys have had that forever. That's, no, but nobody cares anymore. And it's just a shame that people feel that way because every major sport on the planet would love to have the diversity that NHRA does.
Yeah, we've created racing utopia. What are you talking about? They should be coming to us to have us explain how to do it. We have all the answers. Certainly. All right, I dropped the link to the YouTube channel. I know not everybody is watching on YouTube. Tomorrow, Buddy Hull, Jacob McNeil, Chris King, a couple of really dynamic young people that are coming up, young, right? I get to say that now, that are coming up in the ranks, and you're going to love the interview. It's pre-recorded, but do not miss it. Bobby Bender says you owe him $20. Do you?
I do?
That's what he says. 20.
I don't know. I might.
20 large.
Okay. I don't remember, but it wouldn't be the first time I didn't remember owing somebody money.
If I get a grading point in Stock Eliminator, can I transfer it over to Super Street?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I'm trying.
I believe grading points are grading points. If you go enter 2 classes, you get 2 grading points. I don't think they're class specific.
This Project Pontiac thing is advancing, but what good is it if I don't have any grading points, right? I gotta get a grading point or 2 between now and the 2025 Gator Nationals, Alan.
Well, if only you had friends in racing that trusted you enough to loan you a car.
Well,
sucks to be you.
Yeah, the good news is if that was the case, I would just mention it on the show and hope they would reach out to me. So when that happens, you'll all know. This guy's just thank you, Joe and Alan, for showing me the light. Tony and Top Fuel is a really big deal regarding last week's show. Someone earlier said that the audience could double I don't believe that. Nothing doubles when you're already this big, like rules of big numbers and stuff. But the guy has had a long career where he has made connections with, I will say, hundreds of thousands of people. And so if any of those people decide we like Tony Stewart enough to follow his new venture on the track, yes, we're going to see a Tony Stewart bump. I don't see how we could not.
Well, I think it's already been seen, at least, in some areas. I think, I talked to Chris Blair, Worldwide Technology Raceway Executive Vice President and General Manager, and he said when the announcement came out, they were ready. They sent an email blast out that said, come see Tony Stewart race in Top Fuel next year. They also had their front banner on their website when you went to the NHRA side was Tony Stewart will be racing in Top Fuel. And for the St. Louis fans, we didn't run Alcohol Dragster in St. Louis last year. So they didn't get to see him race at all unless they hung around for the division race, the regional the following weekend. But the national event fans didn't get to see him on the track. So some of the race fans have seen him race in Top Fuel or in alcohol are now going to see him race in Top Fuel. But some of the race fans have not seen him race because he didn't run alcohol at their track.
Right.
And Chris's words were, significant spike in ticket sales, right? Click here for your tickets. And it's kind of funny because I posted that on a kind of an internet chat room that I'm a part of and got almost immediately guys, oh, Tony had nothing to do. That's just coincidence. You can't prove that was Tony. And I'm going,
right.
Okay, but I'll take it. I mean, every time I'll take it.
Yeah, Blair knew and I didn't know. Like, that's what I take out of that conversation, right? Like, Blair had his email blast ready to go when the information came out that Smoke was going to drive Top Fuel. He knew, everybody knew. No, it's a big deal. Look, people will fight really hard to not be wrong, certainly, and they'll fight hard to be right. Sarah wants to know about night racing. This is another area that I feel like if we can make it work somewhere under the lights, eliminations under the lights, has NHRA considered running a race that ends under the lights or a night race? The Humpy Wheeler, the darker it gets, the faster they go. I believe it. And our sport is better at night. What do you know?
I haven't heard any talk about trying that here, modern era. We did it a few times in the past, especially at summertime when we go someplace where it was extremely hot, where we would run first round at whatever it was, 6 o'clock or 6:30 in the evening, and then run into the night. Kind of mixed reviews on all of that stuff, but I haven't heard any serious talk about that. I think, the fans over the years, the vast majority of them have said, we don't want to be at the racetrack all day. We want to be there. We want to see our event. And then we want to go home in time for dinner or, have time to get back home so we can go to work on Monday morning or have whatever. So I guess if we did it, it would almost have to be a Saturday night, I would think. But I haven't heard any serious discussion about that within the last however many years. So I wouldn't, certainly not going to see it in 24. Right. Who knows going forward. I learned after COVID to never say, well, we'll never do that.
The best thing that I don't want to say COVID is the best thing that happened at NHRA. So please allow a pause, but getting away from that's the way we've always done it is the best thing that happened to the NHRA. And in my personal opinion, everybody, honestly, you got to break away from the past sometimes, or maybe it doesn't work out and then you return to what works, but you have to be willing to experiment and try and break out of the mold. And they certainly did that in the post-COVID universe. And I feel like are being rewarded by the fans. And, not everybody agrees that they're doing a great job. I know Clay just posted his opinion on the loose ballast deal. And there's a lot of talk about the way information about an infraction gets disseminated to us and to the media and to the drivers and the teams, and it takes too long and it's not transparent and everything. I would apply to that. Let's hope they continue to look at aspects of everything and think just because we've always done it this way doesn't mean we should always do it this way. Maybe there's a better way. And by adopting that, I think things will almost certainly continue to get better.
Well, things evolve and you have to evolve with them. And there are certainly things that work that don't need to be messed with, right? I mean, the basic design of a fork has been around for 2 million years. I don't think that needs to be completely redesigned. But if you're in the entertainment business, then what fans want to see for entertainment, how people get entertained and how they get their content, how you reach out to them is constantly evolving, and you need to evolve and stay with it. And every time I hear that, that's the way we've always done it. I remember a lifetime ago, I worked in a heavy truck frame shop, and the shop manager, the shop foreman guy his name was Harry. And he's a guy that had been around, seen it, done it. I think he was there, when they made the second wheel and had to first do an alignment. And the shop had some nice modern equipment, had the stuff, had, the guy that owned the shop made the investment to do the things. And we used to talk about, let's, get yourself a tape measure and get yourself in it. And it's like, Harry, why wouldn't we use the thing? I've been doing it this way for 35 years. I get it. But somewhere in the last 35 years, they came up with a more efficient way to do it. Why wouldn't you at least be open to trying it or looking at it or seeing if new technology is something that, but he was, adamantly said it, I've been doing it this way for this long. It's worked perfectly for this long. I don't want to change. I don't need to change. And that was the way he was going to do things. And it apparently worked for him. But, the one, I wouldn't say anything that was best about COVID. The one good thing that came out of it was that it got not just drag racing, it got everybody to throw away we've never done that before. We're going back to work in a completely new set of circumstances. We need to figure out how to do it. And the fact that we've never done it before doesn't make any difference. We need to figure out what can we do to get back to work. And that's what we did. And some of those ideas turned out to be good ones. And some of those ideas were just a crutch to get us by until we could revert to, the tried and true way, which worked better after we had proved it worked better. But, the opportunity to try different things, as you said, get out of your comfort zone from time to time and try something different, do something different, and just see. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work. But, like my mom used to tell me about spinach. How do you know you don't like it? You've never tried it. I said, because I know I don't like it.
Right. Exactly. So doing this Hidden Horsepower podcast, interviewing all these, engine builders who are like elite thinkers in their field, the most common thing that they say is that you can't be afraid to fail. You have to be willing to try things and fail. And that failure is just a step along the road to success and consistent success. And that can't only be true in the engine building trade. That's also got to be true in the promoting races, building big audiences, trying to create general interest trade that we are in. And they're all related. Like the second you say, I don't want to learn that, or I don't want to do that, or I'm stuck in my way, I think you've become old. And I don't mean that in a, terrible negative way, but like you've stopped advancing.
One of the best things to come out of the time that I spent when I worked for David Nickens during the development of what is now the Pro Stock Hemi was the fact that David wasn't scared of anything. Some of the wacky, crazy, ridiculous things that we did, how do we know? Well, how do we know? Why don't we do it? And then we'll know. And I'm telling you, I've said this before, and this is only a very slight exaggeration, but I think if you went to David Nickens and said, I got an idea. What if we spin the engine backwards, bolt the carburetors on the headers, and blow the exhaust out the scoop? And he'd say, let's try that. See what happens. We did some wacky, crazy stuff developing that new engine. And, some of it that, absolutely positively wasn't legal, wasn't ever going to go down a racetrack, wasn't going to have, but we learned. And then we could take that knowledge and anybody that's an engine guy, we ran a Pro Stock Hemi on the dyno with no oil pan on it. Because how do we know It's like, well, what if we just did this? It's like, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. And he said, but wouldn't that prove? Well, I mean, yeah, I guess. Well, let's do it. And the number of things, not all of them were quite that far off the wall, but the number of things that we did in search of, it's like, how do we know that? Well, I mean, we think we know that. Why don't we try it? And I know every pro stock guy and every engine builder has been through this, but the manifold research and development was ridiculous. And for the number of guys in pro stock that always covered up their manifolds, we never did, because what you saw on the outside didn't have anything to do with what the thing really was. We would have these short runner manifolds built with a freaking plenum that you could put 5 gallons of fuel in, that absolutely positively would not make 50 horsepower on anything. And then we'd fill them up with epoxy. I mean, literally fill them up with epoxy. And then we would make the manifold inside this box that we wanted. And if you wanted to try something new, it's pretty easy to machine out some epoxy. And if you screwed something up, it's pretty easy to put some epoxy back in until you figure out what worked. But, you'd look at the manifold and it would have a box that was this big that everybody knows that's not what you could do. But the actually plenum inside it was only this big because the rest of it was filled with epoxy. And things like that are how you learn and how you tune and how you do things. I stumbled across the other day a really interesting Q&A thing with Darren Morgan, who is a cylinder head manifold guy at BES Engine. Seems like he'd been at Rare Morrison for 100 years, and now he's at BES. And he is one of the smartest cylinder head airflow guys, I think, period. He was kind of the driving force behind that Ford Pro Stock engine, the one that Clinton F has got in his AED, when, he brought this thing out and everybody went, what's that? And then he reset the mile an hour record by about 8 miles an hour. And everybody went, okay, really, what is that? But the design of the cylinder head and making the stuff work and engineering everything to work the way he wanted it to. And it's just fascinating listening to him talk about some of the things. And as you said, it's like, well, we know that won't work. Why? Because we did this and this and this. And it's like, you really did that? And he goes, well, that was the only way to know it wouldn't work, is to actually go out and do it. But yeah, there's, you can't be afraid. And I will tell you from my experience, and there's a lot of guys out there got a whole lot more experience in an engine shop and a dyno room than I do, but it is way easier to lose 50 horsepower than it is to find 5. Guaranteed.
Yeah, exactly. Billy says Morgan has a series of videos on airflow. I got to see him give a tech talk at the AERA conference up there at CWT last year, Randy Neal's Balancing Company. And man, okay, next level thinking going on here. I got nowhere to use it other than my understanding. But as a philosophy, it applies to everything. There is an idea out there that'll put some butts in the seats or make a show better or something. And everyone kind of got on board with the night racing in the chat section, including Nikki Morse. If we could figure out a first round at 4, a final round at 10 on a Saturday night somewhere, we should try it. Because I think people would like it. All right. People are, doing a great job in the chat section. Hopefully they're all subscribed for tomorrow. Buddy Hull, Jacob McNeil, Chris King. Alan, we've had you for an hour and 18 minutes. What a show. No plan. That's the best ones. Just reminiscing about the things that happened this year. Amazing stuff. But I did put in the description that we would talk about great gifts for drag racing fans. And so list 1.
Top Eliminator Club tickets.
Bang. Tickets. They've been working hard, by the way. Tickets on sale for Virginia Nationals and the big return to Richmond next year, right on the top of NHRA.com. They had that buy one, get one discount a little bit earlier. They are working out on the ticket sales. And I like the idea of Top Eliminator Club. If you're going to go big.
Well, if it's within your budget, and I understand it's not within everybody's budget, but if it's within your budget, the Top Eliminator Club, almost all of the tickets, and maybe it is all of them, I'm not sure, come with preferred parking. And as you know, at some racetracks, parking's not a big deal at all, right? You pull in, you park, it's no big deal. It's, whatever it is, if it's $20 or 30 or whatever. Some racetracks, parking can be a headache. especially if, you don't get there very early, or if you don't, then you end up across the street or over there or whatever, and over the river and through the woods. So preferred parking is a nice perk. You have a place to get out of the sun, which is a nice perk, especially during the summertime races. If it gets warm out there, it gets hot out there, and you just want to go someplace where you can sit down out of the sun, relax. The top eliminator clubs all have video feeds inside. So, if you want to keep up with what's going on out there in super stock while you're in the top eliminator club, it'll be there. They come with meals. So, you don't have to pack your cooler to bring your lunch. You don't have to walk out to your car to get it. You don't have to stand in the concession lines. You don't have to do any of that. You just have to show up when it's time for lunch and eat lunch. Every one of them, I do believe, has some type of VIP access where they'll bring in, whether it's drivers, sometimes it'll be a team, sometimes it'll be, like the Toyota guys, for instance, might all come in, or the Mopar guys might come in, or the JFR guys might come in. So you've got an opportunity to, do a little Q&A or get an autograph without having to stand in line, without having to stand out by the ropes until your favorite driver comes out, and you get a lot of them into one place. And the fact that you also have a really, really good starting line seat that's going to be there. You're never going to go back to your seat and go, hey, man, I was sitting here. Well, sorry, you left, which in the general admission section, as we all know, that can happen, right? You get up, you go to the bathroom, or you get up and you go get a cheeseburger, and you come back, and now you got to find a place to sit again. So all of those perks of the top eliminator club, if it's in your budget, I think the top eliminator club, I really think that's the best ticket in motorsports. And unfortunately, my all-time favorite top eliminator club in the history of the world doesn't exist anymore. So now I got to find a new one.
Where's that?
Come on.
Where? Oh yeah, Vandermeer. I'm still holding out.
Denver.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
it's
well, you did. You brought me up there, and it is a great. I never got to experience the amenities. I got to go sit and watch, and I thought, oh my God, the view here is incredible. Like just sitting there, just looking out over the mountain was beautiful. Let alone some great 330 mile per hour drag racing going on. I want to echo that. Having spent a considerable amount of money for tickets over the years to concerts or Formula One or whatever, the top eliminator club seats at the NHRA are a value. Like they're a value in sports. You get food, you get drink every once in a while. An announcer will come in there and, give you a margarita. Underappreciated, undervalued what you get. The autograph sessions and people coming in there, Pomona, you get your own bars, it's kind of a shock that they're not all sold out always. But that's the benefit to people out there. I like it. Me, on the other hand, I want parts, Alan. We need parts and pieces. Project Pontiac, I got to get this thing going. I'm looking on trying to get some grading points. Right now, I've been thrilled that some people have offered some wonderful parts. Folks at Edelbrock donated some cylinder heads. I'm very excited about that. Everybody I just want the goodwill of all for Project Pontiac. That would be great for me for the holiday season.
Really? Not like a torque converter?
No, I got that covered right now, thanks to FTI. So I'm thinking of what's next on the list, right? What's next?
Joe, you're not a racer until you have 3 different torque converters and 4 transmissions and 2 rear gear sets. And I mean, come on.
No, you're right. Maybe a Moroso vacuum pump. That would be good. I could do that.
There you go.
Or a Mazir water pump. That would be good. See, we're not done yet, Alan. We're not done yet. Stephen Glenn out there.
Did you see? Now, wait a minute. Did you see did you go by the Mazir booth at PRI?
No, I should have.
They had what I think was like the coolest new item. And for race engines in particular, engines that are stored in particular, I don't know why somebody hadn't thought about this like 116 million years ago. An electric oil pump. Okay. Now it's a little one, right? Like, how big fuel pumps are these days, right? They fit in a gas tank. It's just about this big. It's an electric oil pump that picks up oil from the pan plug. You take the pan plug out, put the steel in, it's got a little T on it, picks up oil from the pan plug and plumbs it into wherever your oil line is. So after your car has been sitting in the trailer for a week or a month or 6 months or whatever,
wow,
you flip a switch and you have oil pressure before you ever spin the engine over.
That's amazing. talk about protecting the inside of your cylinders from the most wear and tear that you're going to get firing up before you get oil circulated. That's ingenious.
That's what I thought. And it's, I mean, I don't think the thing weighs 4 pounds total. And it's just a matter of, find a place to mount the pump, and that's it. It'll pick up from the pan plug. So you don't even have to like drill or tap or put a bung in the oil pan. And then you just need to plumb it in, wherever. And you could plumb it in, where your oil pressure gauge picks up, which would be a nice, easy place to get it. But the bottom line is you can put oil on the bearings, on the lifters, on it before you ever turn the thing over. And I thought that's brilliant.
Brilliant. Okay, but since
you can get me one of those for Christmas.
There it is. You're going to need it
because I don't start this car as often as I should. So
well, but hopefully you're using Foggit, so then the next time it'll at least be.
Absolutely do that. But Foggit doesn't save the bearings from dry starts.
No, nothing does. Except for that. That's amazing. But what was the better product, though? That or the carbon rocker arms that Lee Beard was showing us?
Those things are pretty cool. I would like to, when I was running the Spintron for David, I would like to have been able to take some of those parts back and just flog on them a little bit. It'll be interesting to see where they show up, I guess, is what I'm wondering, because, there's obviously some expense involved there. And I love the theory, but I think that, what Lee said was, I think, exactly right. There's a lot of people that look at carbon fiber and still kind of see plastic. And, the parts they're making, the composite parts that they're making, whether it's push rods, whether it's wrist pins, if you have a carbon valve, or if you have a carbon rocker arm and it breaks, not the end of the world. If you have a carbon wrist pin and it breaks, that's not good. And so I understand, all the testing and all the stuff they've done with them, and the technology I think is fascinating, and they're not actually carbon, it's composite. I don't know how in depth you got, but he explained to me, and this is way in layman's terms. Okay. He said, if carbon fiber is cast, that this is forged. It's that big a move forward from what you normally think of as carbon fiber, and carbon fiber itself is pretty damn tough.
Yeah, it was amazing just being able to hold a connecting rod made out of aluminum and a connecting rod made out of this. Amazing. We'll see where it goes. Alan, final thought on the year, because this is it for WFO until obviously 1 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. Jacob McNeil and Chris King and Buddy Hall going to be great. But as far as like consistent shows, we're going to go into best of mode. There's going to be a lot of Alan Reinhardt and Joe Castello on the air, I'm sure. But we're going to see you after the new year. Next week would be the day after Christmas. I'm going to be doing a little traveling heading to Houston. I think we're going to be back on the 9th of January. So do you have a final thought for the WFO universe out there before we part ways and see you on the other side in 2024?
Well, I just want to wish everybody a great holiday. I hope that, you spend great time with your family, with your friends, whatever your holiday traditions may be. I hope that we all have a good New Year's, and I hope that it's the beginning of a great year for all of us. If you are in Tucson, Arizona, if you'd like to stop by Wild West Engineering, I will be here on Christmas Day as usual. My open house Scotch tasting. By the way, I got a gift from Santa Claus in a FedEx truck yesterday, so I appreciate that. But if you're in the neighborhood, that's my Christmas tradition, is to have open house at the shop. And if anybody wants to stop by, you're free to do so. If you need the address, you can look me up online, or you can just shoot me an email, announcer@nhra.com. But hope everybody has a safe Christmas. Hope you have a great holiday. I hope Santa gets you everything you wanted. And I am counting down. It's like, every day puts us one day closer to going back to racing.
Yeah, it really is the truth. Alan, thank you for a great year, great season. Super excited. NHRA Drag Racing in general, on the move. And there's a fun sense of energy out there among everything that is going on. Let's keep it going. Have a great holiday, and thank you for all you do on WFO.
Thank you, Joe. Always a pleasure. And I look forward to talking to you next year. Somehow I have a feeling you and I will probably exchange a note or two before next year.
Yeah, one or two. Like, there's the on air and then there's the off air. We're way more positive, folks, than we are right here.
Bah humbug, everybody.
Humbug. Later, Alan. Be good.
See ya.
There he goes. Alan Reinhardt with us here on WFO Radio. Wow, what a show. Was that the big WFO holiday party? Yeah, kind of it is. And the Ignition, we had that, in years past, we would do a holiday party. And this year, man, Project Pontiac, it's absorbing all of my energy and all of my life. And so we're focusing on that. Final comments in the comments section. Foster, you were too busy to see much? Me too, bud. This was the busiest PRI that I had. I got to like 4 stars on the floor, and I just kept ping-ponging back and forth from those places. And, to leave the total sealed booth was a challenge, but we've got some good episodes of Hidden Horsepower, some great interviews that people will be able to see if they check it out. Final comments of the year in the comment section, guys. So let's see what kind of wonderful wisdom you can come up with. Well, I tell you about the people who literally make it possible. One person in particular has done such a great job for me over the entire duration of this show, Marvin Rodak, 817-924-6821. This year, Marvin, he was an associate sponsor on Camry Caruso's Pro Stocker out at the Stampede of Speed in the Fall Nationals. He shipped out a bunch of coffee on my behalf to my clients and guests and the people that are, supporting the show. And to the one, I received amazing and positive feedback. You don't have to use it as a gift, but if you're not enjoying Rodak's coffee or the spice rubs or the hot sauces, you really should try. 817-924-6821. The stuff you're getting in your grocery store, I'm sure it's fine. I don't want to, say something negative about something that you feel like you're enjoying. There's another step. That's what I'm saying to you. Reach out to Marvin, 817-924-6821. You can get there via our website and enjoy a little Rodak's coffee. You will love it. Same is true for Frank Hawley and Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. They are one of my longest, maybe my longest running sponsor. They and Marvin came on at the same time when we first launched this show. And we love telling people about the dragster adventure. You can drive a dragster. You can drive a dragster. You need to buy nothing and bring nothing, and you show up with the clothes on your back. And next thing you know, you're driving a dragster. And I've been told that if you do the challenge, you get more runs and it's even more fun. But the price point is relatively low for the experience you're going to get. Advance your fandom. Become a driver. FrankHawley.com. I make up those taglines, by the way. I like that one. That one's pretty good. I feel like there's something there. FrankHawley.com. And then there's Sam Tech. This is one that, I try to put my heart into this one because I really know that we have to have qualified machinists and young people that know how to do and build and make and dream up something in their head and then figure out how to program a CNC machine and have it become a reality. And where do they get that start? They're looking in their phone, they're TikToking, and the folks at Samtech have done a good job of creating a program where you can learn how to become an EFI tuner, where you can learn how to program a CNC machine, where you can be an engine machinist. So go to samtech.edu and tell Brian Massengill you heard Castello talking about it on WFO, not someone else, right? Samtech.edu. That having been said, the Engine Performance Expo is going to be in January, and that is where we will be doing the block for Project Pontiac. And so keep an eye out on the social media for that. Folks at Rottler are at Straub Technologies, and they're going to be running one of the most advanced machines to do the hone on Project Pontiac. We're going to punch out the cam bore. We're going to do the lifter bores. It's going to be great. It's going to be all a big part of the show. Be ready for that in January. Now, the sale is over for WFO swag, but I think we had a good sale. You never know when it's going to go on sale again. These great gifts. A lot of Miami Hollywood Speedway t-shirts have gone up. I want to mention Foggett as well, because Gary Stinnett sent me a photograph and I referenced it, but I want to show you guys. Taking apart an engine, check out that these are piston rings. And these are the rings out of an engine that was not cared for. And you don't have to be a genius to see all of the little deposits of rust and corrosion on the flat of the ring. And that is what we're talking about. When we're talking about inside your cylinder walls, there's a lot of bad stuff that's residual from the combustion process. and that if you spray it with Foggit, it prevents this from happening. Remember, it is an Amazon choice product, and you can get it at Foggit.com. They've got some new distributorships going on. It's been a great year for the folks at Foggit. Total Seal, FTI, Bernie Speed Shop up there in Ocala, Florida. If you're going to the Gator Nationals, plan from now to go to the Fan Fest at Bernie's. That's going to be 98% sure Wednesday night, because Thursday is the Garlits Hall of Fame deal. That's another note, right? You should go to that. But plan the Gator Nationals right from now. Wednesday, Garlits Museum. Wednesday night, Bernie's Fan Fest. Thursday, at the track. Thursday night, International Drag Racing Hall of Fame. You can still get your tickets. Amazing class, and another amazing class going in. And then into the Gator Nationals. Like, I want you to know that right from now. All right, let's see what people have to say. Final thoughts, guys. Final thoughts. And then I'll give you mine. Oil accumulators are underutilized. Anything you can do to slow the wear and tear down. I've learned that over the years. Anything you can do to slow it down, you got to do it. C5 Pete, Merry Christmas to you both. WFO, and thank you for a year of entertainment. We're trying, Pete. Thank you for your comments, buddy. Really appreciate it. Like, sometimes I might push back. Last week I called, I don't know what I said, but I got a bunch of text message, something related to people being morons, But in the end, we're doing a show. It's supposed to be entertaining. It's supposed to be fun. We exchange opinions. We're not always going to agree, but there's always going to be respect, and there's always going to be next week for us to come back and talk about it a little bit more. So thank you. And remember the Ignition Show. Wow, this week's Ignition Show. Amazing. Nikki, I thought you were leaving, bud. I thought you were out. I got to go cook something, take a picture of it. Nope. Merry Christmas, Joe and Alan. Both did a great job today. Thanks. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern time. It's a pre-recorded show. YouTube only. YouTube only. Doing it for a reason. YouTube only, 1 o'clock. Don't miss it, though. It's going to be great. And you can comment. Just comment in the comment section on YouTube. Great show today. Thanks. Merry Christmas, WFO Universe. There was no prep that went into today's show. I just got back from the doc with my dad. Went over there to get him checked out. And some of the best shows are the ones that you don't plan for. We had a great season of fun things to talk about. So how would it not be great? Merry Christmas to the WFO Universe. Foster had 6 seminars he had to do. 6 seminars. Oh, my gosh. Well, you're probably a lot smarter from it, right? Like all the knowledge that you gained. You're very lucky, Jeff, to have gained all that knowledge. Foster, one of the votes for the hardest working people in drag racing, keeps the strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway going good. Loves a good cup of Joe. So do I. Try Marvin Rodak, Nikki. It's the coffee equivalent to Jenny's, except it's not even as macro. This guy's got like great relationships and contracts with some of the smaller plantations that make some of the best coffee in the world. And only he gets it. Ant Dog, WFO BMX 2024 for life. Steven, my health, my family and friends, WFO and the NHRA Drag Racing family. What more could I ask for? There's something special going on. No doubt. I really would like for everyone to try to pull in the same direction, even better in 2024. That is my wish. There is always the herding of cats aspect of drag racing. Following a leader or leadership or, not believing that you can do it better and going and do it yourself. That's not the DNA of drag racing. DNA of drag racing is you do it yourself and you go and you can do it better. It can always be done better. But at the same time, we are all in this together, a sport that is a microscopic grain of sand on a giant beach of the world and life and entertainment. And I think if people worked together, communicated better, worked harder to try to lift each other up as opposed to push each other down, everybody would do better. Everybody would do better. And that's what I'm hoping for 2024. Everybody realize that we're all in this interconnected universe and one person can't succeed by themselves. It takes everyone. And the analogy that I gave from the past last week about John Force Racing and Don Schumacher Racing not amplifying social media posts that included the other was my example from many years ago of a way that that kind of thinking can be detrimental to the overall growth of the sport. And so, like, if you're a team and NHRA puts out a tweet that is for the good of the sport and you don't amplify it, you're failing to do something to grow yourself. And I understand the attitude, well, why should I promote NHRA? That's their job. I promote me. But this thing is only going to work if we all grow together. Let's see. Joe, are you announcing at the big pro race? I am not. I am not announcing at the big pro race. Great show. You and Alan are great for NHRA fans. We try, Nikki. We have a good time. Earl Nichols, my buddy. Earl, I saw him at PRI for 1 second. And, I bust his chops a lot. Being old and, he drove a car that anybody could win in. And certainly that's been proven. But the guy's awesome. Go get that super gas car ready, Earl, and let me know any way I can help promote you and your driving career. Let's get Earl back behind the wheel again in 2024. Ken, Merry Christmas, Joe, and everyone. Another great show. Happy New Year, buddy. Happy New Year to you, Ken. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas from unknown Facebook user. Nikki's going to check out Marvin. Marvin, you better be ready. Barrichello Nitro, my buddy. She's a hairstylist. I was going to call her a barber. Right? He's like, if I ever get a haircut at the track, it's going to be from Barrichello. Happy holidays, Joe. Jeff Rice, best Facebook page in motorsports. Merrick, we have a group, which is really great because everyone is just super respectful and wonderful and no negativity. Well, occasional spam, which I don't know how to fight the spam. Right now, oh my gosh, I get a letter, a note every day, a direct message about how the WFO Radio Facebook page is about to be taken down because it has violated the policy or whatever. If you ever get that, don't click it. That's the virus. That's the virus. You'll get a message that says that your page is not in compliance and Meta wants you to click this thing and that's the virus. Man, terrible. Anyway, thank you, Jeff, for all the kind words. I have a love-hate relationship with Meta and Facebook and all their stuff. They're just, it's just too all over the place. Yes, share this on your Facebook, everyone. Great show. I prefer the YouTube. If we're talking about, if we're being real, the YouTube channel. Craig Green, another great show. Thank you, Craig. Did you see Prox Dragsters Park? Yeah, no, I know about this. This is a bit of negative information, but the word parked sounds too final. I don't like that. I know. I heard that Frank Teagues was maybe moving on. Nobody at John Force Racing has told me anything. I don't know where you saw that, but I've heard that. That's a rumor that's out there, and maybe it's true. But to me, Austin Prock is going to get some support, and we'll just have to wait and see how it all turns out. And again, like you've put it, Steve, up there a couple of times, man. If the facts, then it's negative, and if so, why now? Not every show. We don't have to air all the negative stuff that is going on out there on every show. Wait for the turn of the year. Give them a break, right? Give them a chance to get something together. Or, who knows what might happen. So there you go. All right, guys. I really appreciate everybody in the WFO universe. You guys have had an amazing season. I'm going to form a new playlist, WFO 2024, and get going again. I'm going to go to work on Project Pontiac, nearly immediately. I got a transmission that's got to come out. I got to bring it to DeLand. I got things we're trying to get on the racetrack again. And to the people who have supported the program, like Total Seal and Foggett and FTI and Edelbrock and everybody who's been on board with us, Morel Lifters, and I'm humbled. But also, I do believe that people want to see me get my butt whooped on the track. Mike Guy thinks he can go out there and be Jason Galvin and go rounds at races. That ain't going to happen. We'll see. Also, shout out to my buddy Michael Heiner for offering to do a show for the Patreons only in 2023. Patreon only, Hear It From Heiner show, which we're going to get that ramped up again. That's all waiting in the archive. Like, if you signed up to be a WFO Patreon for the next year, you can go back and watch all the Hear It From Heiner shows. Trailer's still up there at Right Trailers. So much going on, and I am super excited about the year that lies ahead. It was a lot of hard work this year. We put a lot of effort in, and that's all you can do. Ed says Merry Christmas. Yeah, it's almost 3 for me. Better move. We got lights in the garage. Steve Brunwald, my buddy. Another great show. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate all of you. I had something I wanted to show everybody. We just have to wait till next year. Right, guys? And thanks to everyone. Thanks to Alan Reinhardt especially, and everybody who supported this program. Best of shows throughout the offseason. But tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern time, don't miss it. Watch it. Buddy Hall, Jacob McNeil, Chris King, like you've never seen them before.